Stop wasting time on LeetCode. I'm going to show you one thing I started doing and it completely changed my coding abilities. The truth is that I've been doing LeetCodes for over 2 years, and I'm about to show you. I've been just uploaded them to GitHub and so forth. I started doing LeetCodes way before this, and it was a way of tracking the ones I was doing or the problems I was getting better at. Besides just going to the LeetCode website, I started adding into GitHub, right? What happened is that over 2 years, I was doing the same thing, just learning patterns and getting better at things. But yeah, at the same time, I was like, I don't feel that I'm doing software development, right? You're doing all these questions, and it's like when you're taking math, right? You're doing all these exercises, and if you're in engineering school, you're not doing real engineering. Yeah, these are the tools that will get you there. But that's not the job, right? That's not exactly what you want to be doing. And that's the problem with LeetCode. Yeah, we all know that the system is flawed and these things are bad or whatever. You still have to do some LeetCodes to get into companies. Now, that's not necessarily going to make you better at coding, right? So what did I started doing to change that? And today's video is about that. It's not about let's go into day 28 and doing a LeetCode problem. Today, we're going to be talking about something more important. How have I been going from doing just LeetCode problems to creating projects? That's one thing nobody tells you. And it's the projects are the most important thing you can do to actually get better at coding. You can solve 1,000 LeetCode questions. You're going to be a data structure, algorithm, time complexity master. You're going to know everything about data structures and all these things. Now, unless that's exactly what you want to be doing in your life, you're actually not going to be a software developer. Why? Because you need more than just simple algorithms and problem solving skills to do that. And you'll be like, yeah, of course, yeah, but necessarily you have to be working on those things daily. So the way I started working on this, and it changed. I'm about to show you, I've been through so many rejections when I apply to jobs, but I've also got some bites on my resume, and I've been doing interviews very consistently, at least once a month, which is for the market right now in 2025. It's actually pretty good unless you are someone that's leaving a major company and you have a lot of track on your resume. For people that is self-taught and it's just starting in their career or just want to break into the industry, one interview a month that you can get, it's amazing. Now you have to maximize those chances too. But let's go back to the main topic. What are those ways to get into the industry? What is the best way to get into the industry besides LeetCode? It has one name, and it's projects. Like I said, working on projects will give you all the abilities you need to actually understand how software works. So very recently, I started working into different things for web development specifically, and these apply to other areas like mobile development, system engineering, so forth. But in web development, I started working with different stacks. I started trying with, besides React and stuff like that, what are other frameworks and libraries I can use? And with that, I've realized in the past 3 or 4 months that I've been doing that, I have so much more knowledge about software. I understand the architecture part of it. I understand the data structures and algorithms were part of it, right? But now I understand how to apply them. Why are some data structures important for some databases? For SQL or no SQL? All these technical questions that when you're solving LeetCode problems alone, just to try to just have that big, let's say 300 problems solved on LeetCode or whatever your goal is, 1,000 problems if you're crazy about it. But what I'm trying to say is some problems you're solving to understand the pattern, but at the end of the day, you're not learning software. Okay, using the example of math, when you're in school learning, I don't know, calculus, and you're solving some linear equations or whatever, yeah, it's important to get your head down and learn all those patterns, but also at the same time, you're not actually doing engineering. You're going to need that because it's connecting the dots in your brain, but at the same time, you're not getting the full spectrum, right? And that's where the problem is. So my number one advice from my own experience is start building projects today. It doesn't even matter the stack or the tools you start using. Just pick something that you really care about. Pick something that you really like and start investigating. So why do I say that projects are the number one thing? Well, I was doing all these LeetCode problems, right? and I didn't get any bites on my resume while I was doing this. Why? Well, because when you are preparing your resume, and I'm about to show you here guys something pretty quick, all the resumes I've been building with time, these are all companies I've applied in the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. But when you're building those resumes, it's important that you know that you're going to need projects, especially if you're someone that's trying to break into the industry as a self-taught engineer. Yeah, if you are coming out of an Ivy League school with great ratings and you have a lot of interesting project stuff you work along your school career, great, that's going to help you a lot. But I have to say the market, it's brutal right now for everyone. So projects are always going to help you to show that you have experience working with these things. It's going to give you the keywords. So why is there a trick in this? There is a little trick, believe it or not. And I'm going to open this resume and show you something. This is my resume. I'm going to show you this real quick. So what's important with projects? So I have 3 projects listed here, right? What is important about these projects? Well, these projects give me all the keywords I need to add it to my skills, right? All those keywords are going back to my skills. And I get better with it, right? With time. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, I created this project, now I'm an expert in this. No, you're not going to be an expert by any means, but you have to start somewhere, right? Because the person that's working on Node for 5 to 10 years, yeah, he's an expert and he's probably going to say, well, you cannot just make a project and become a Node expert. No, but you have to start with one. You have to start with one project, right? So that is my thing. Start building those projects today, and those projects are going to give you the keywords you need to start using your resume strategically, right? So that's, I mean, it doesn't matter how many LeetCode questions you do. If you're not getting bites on your resume, it's because you don't have the keywords. Remember, everything, it's AI right now. So you need those keywords in order to make it interviews, get phone screens, get technical interviews, right? So that is the number one thing I would say that you have to start doing today. Now, with that, I also want to say LeetCode is not bad, right? You have to do some LeetCode, but there are better ways, like I said, to get into the industry without having to do LeetCodes, right? My personal recommendation is start working on projects today. Now, with that, I want to mention my second recommendation. Besides doing projects, there are other ways to get into big companies, and it's to work your way up, right? Apply to smaller companies, just get your foot on the door and start working from there. Again, having projects is going to be the number one thing, because those companies are going to reach out to you because of that, because you've worked on that, you've had certain experience. Now, the projects have different connotations, right? You can work in personal projects or you can work in professional projects. Professional projects are very important too, because you can work for real clients, right? And that's another part of the skills that you can get. The actual client feedback, and that's going to help you a lot. In companies, you're always going to have client feedback, even if you're not in a client-facing role, right? But you're always going to have some clients that you're working for, because your manager, your superiors are going to be working for those clients directly or indirectly, right? So having actual client experience will give you that field knowledge you need on the client. What do they actually need for the things you're building for them? So that's another thing. If you could do some freelance work, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be freelance work. Market yourself as a professional, that you are able to do web design or development or application development, whatever your field is. Market yourself as a professional and start looking for people that need solutions. Another thing that have worked for me is having my friends help me out in the process. How? Besides just networking. Everyone says network here, network there. Sometimes it's not that easy, especially depending on where you live. You can live in a remote area where you don't have all the opportunities to go different meetups or whatever. It's going to require some sacrifice for you to do that, and that's okay. Sometimes you do it. Now, you have friends, right? Or you can meet friends online if you play video games or if you're in different communities, Discords, whatever. You can meet people there and they can help you. What is the trick here? Compensation. Everyone would do anything for you if you compensate them back. So let's say you and your friend are looking for jobs, right? You're looking for one role, your friend's looking for the other, different roles, or the same role, it doesn't matter. Help each other, finding opportunities for each other. If he finds an opportunity that he thinks fits for you, then he's going to send it over to you and you're going to apply. Now you have another set of eyes doing something for you, looking for different opportunities. Some of this is timing, and that person would help you on that. Now, on your end, if you find an opportunity that fits for him, better. even better. You can send it and share it with him. I did something that I don't recommend everyone doing, but it's a good strategy. I offer my friends a compensation from my first salary if they help me land the job, right? So it's kind of like a finder's fee, right? If my friend sends me a job and I apply and I ultimately get that job, I will compensate him with a certain percentage of my salary. Not everyone can do this, obviously, but if you're in that little window that you can do that, that's a good opportunity, because your friend is just going to be like, hey, I'm going to help this guy. I'm going to get a couple $1,000s from his first salary, or a couple $100, whatever the case might be. But that is something important, because again, compensation. Everyone's looking for compensation. The reason you and I are here today watching this video is because you're looking for a compensation down the road. Personal, economical, whatever. At the end of the day, we are all working for compensation. We all want to get to the point where we get compensated for what we do, and that is the ultimate goal. So offering compensation to someone that can help you get to the role you're applying to works too. So keep that in mind. So going back to sending your resumes and doing all these different type of projects and stuff, it's going to get you a lot of rejections, right? I've been documenting this, not since I started, but at least January this year. I have 49 emails with rejections. I added here, I created a little label just to keep track of that on emails. I use a spreadsheet and an application to keep track of that, but this is just emails, right? And these are all rejections, and I get them very frequently. You can see here, I got 2 just today, early this morning, right? That's another thing. It's a numbers game. The more you apply, the more chances you get to get into an interview. Now, with that, I have to say, I do have some companies that I've interviewed for. So that is something that you have to keep in mind when you are sending resumes. It's a numbers game, and you want to keep sending as much resumes as possible for the projects you're working on, using those keywords from your projects, thinking about growing your way up, and using your peers to help you land that job. So those 3 things apply to your daily job application process. Work on projects daily. Instead of putting 6 hours on LeetCode or whatever your time is, split that time and start building something meaningful. Start building projects. It's not too hard. If you want to learn Next.js, guess what? They have tutorials to teach you. Just go one by one and start learning everything on Next.js. If you want to learn the MERN stack, go to the MERN stack. They have tutorials. They explain you how everything works. You can start from scratch on a completely thing. It doesn't matter. The thing is that you're going to be able to build something, understand how it works, build something further, then you can add that to your resume, and guess what? That keyword's on your resume. Now you can send that resume out and maybe get a possible bite on your resume from that. So keep that in mind. The second thing is work your way up. Not necessarily apply to Meta or Google, like I said. Apply to smaller companies. Don't necessarily try to get 150,000 out of college or breaking into the industry like a self-taught developer myself. Start with a different company that would get your foot in the door, that will give you the experience you need for a couple years. If you apply to jobs right now, it'll take you the same time if you only do LeetCode until you land a job on Google. I promise you, you're going to spend at least 2 or 3 years just doing LeetCode before you get your foot on the door at Google, if you do. Because the probabilities at Google specifically are extremely low, like winning the lottery. But that's another topic. So what is my recommendation again? Work your way up. Very important. Start with a company that might give you $70,000 a year instead of $100,000 a year, but put your time there. Couple years on the way down as far as you can. And guess what? Some companies are great. You can grow your way up in that company too. You can go from being an SD1 to an SD3 in that company, and there you go. It took you 4, 5, 6 years to get your 6-figure salary. You're still young enough. You can go and move forward in your career. So that's the thing. Let's not just fix our minds on LeetCode. But if you like what you hear so far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It really helps me to keep putting more content out there. It motivates me to keep sharing the little things I'm learning throughout the process. This is my GitHub when I started doing LeetCode. As you can see, 2023, not so much. 2024, a little more, especially till the end of the year when things slow down for me. But this year, when I started working on projects, look at this. I feel more motivated to come back to my projects and work on them because they're actually going to produce an output that I'm going to be able to test, to try, to learn, to share, to add to my resume, to get bites on my resume, and so forth. That's my video for today for you. Start working on projects. Trust me. Reach out if you want to do projects together. Thanks for watching this video today. Until the next one.